This Elmo guy is probably in some major serious trouble now.
Elmo, it's no secret why you're here, okay? Last night on X, you went on a rant targeting Jews, President Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein.
Elmo was hacked.
So you say so, okay? But Cookie Monster was in here earlier, and he said he was with you when you were posting that stuff on X. Oh, and by the way, the IP address, it's yours.
That means
Elmo's in trouble, as of course he's soon going to get canceled. All of this as the state of Israel is up to some very interesting actions, as of course they just bombed a major Catholic church. They're expanding forces into Syria, and what in the world is going to be happening next? As of course, this just comes days after they bombed Lebanon. Holy freaking cow, as we need to do an update about the current tumultuous situation in the Middle East. That also is very conveniently postponing the corruption trial of Bibi Netanyahu that many Israeli citizens are protesting and want to see gone. But they can't seem to be getting to that point since, of course, there's a major war that always breaks out right before the major criminal court proceedings of Bibi Netanyahu. What in the world's going on here? Well, we are going to be doing our best to try to answer that as best as we can in this particular video. And if you appreciate these type of sensitive, controversial videos done in a way that's not just filled with total hatred and bigotry, but done from an honest, real, earnest perspective, subscribe, click the notification button, because in the making of this video, the Senate Republicans are blocking motions from the DOJ from releasing the Epstein files. Trump just announced through his spokesperson, no special counsel, not happening here at all. All of this as Bibi Netanyahu just announced that Israel is going to occupy the south of Syria. Yes, you heard that correctly. Netanyahu announced yet another occupation. This as the one occupation in the south of Israel, specifically in Gaza, also just hit a very awful turn here with this Catholic Church attack here that they say was, quote, unfortunate. We'll get into the nitty-gritty details here, but Bibi, in his own words, addressed his nation, addressed his country, and talked about this new occupation in the south of Damascus from the Golan Heights region into the Druze mountain area. Now, this is important because this correlates to the Israeli bombing of Syria. They bombed the Department of Defense. They bombed the center of Damascus. They bombed the entryways and doorways to them that have cost the lives of some Syrian government officials. They have also dropped bombs near the presidential palace in Syria. Why are they doing this? It's a show of force since radical Sunni jihadists, which we told you would take grip, were going after the Druze population in the south of Syria. The Druze population is very closely aligned with the Jewish state. There's a good big alliance between the Druze and the Israelis. And the Israelis sent a message to the Syrians saying, hey, you keep attacking these Druze, we're going to bomb you for real next time, not just at the entryways here. As the message has been sent here to the new Syrian leadership, which of course is representing the Sunni faction. A Sunni faction that the previous government was fighting alongside the Iranians that were protecting the ethnic minorities in that country, including the Christians that were attacked here. Now, the Druze are a sect of Shia Muslims, which of course represents this larger clash between the Sunnis and the Shiites, as there's already an ongoing kind of civil war unfolding in Syria and an ongoing civil war within the Middle East, as of course Saudi Arabia represents the Sunni faction, aligned of course with the United States and Israel. They really like the Sunnis. The Shia Muslims, which are at odds with the Sunnis, are represented by the Iranians, which are directly under attack by Israel and the United States just a few days ago, as that situation still really hasn't kind of figured itself out. It looks like so far there's peace, but I still say that the Khomeini, the Ayatollah of Iran, doesn't have more than 2 years left when in his position of power. So, as of course, they're now fighting for that regime change. Like, we need a vacuum of power in there. They got their vacuum of power in Syria, and now they have a perpetual excuse to extend this conflict forever. And the longer that this conflict is prolonged, the more likely that Bibi doesn't have to face his corruption trial. As of course, his corruption trial was just postponed because of the serious situation in Syria that he decided to do. I think there's a little bit of an unfair situation there. Now he's talking about going to the Druze, protecting them, sending troops to the south of Damascus in order to create demilitarized zones to stop the slaughter of the Druze, which he says that they will not accept in any way. Therefore, he has directed the IDF to take action. The Air Force attacked the, quote, gangs of murderers and the armored vehicles, and added the targets to the attack were also the Ministry of Defense. As a result of that powerful action, a ceasefire came into force here. Now, there's a lot of things that happened before this, as of course the Syrian government allowed the U.S. and Israeli government to shoot down missiles coming from Iran. That was a sign of goodwill. Donald Trump got rid of sanctions on Syria and wants to, of course, have goodwill, good relationships, good diplomacy. Israel just came in, bombed it. Some people say deterred that from actually happening here. Now, what's the exact truth here? Who in the world knows? Before moving on and talking about the bombing of this church inside of Gaza, before talking about the other kind of escalations here, the White House response to this, we wanted to tell you about thebestpoliticalshirts.com, where you can get shirts like the one that I'm wearing right now. You just type in ungovernable. I don't know if I spelled that correctly because I didn't spell that correctly. Ungovernable into the search, and bada bing, bada boom, it pops up right here. We also have a picture of Atlas being very ungovernable in her own unique way. I think that one's not up anymore, but we'll make sure it's up in the making of this video. Type in ungovernable, bada bing, bada boom. You can get the shirt that I'm wearing right now. I was just talking to a medical health professional. Like, oh, you're ungovernable. Oh, I was like, gosh darn right. I'm happy you're not fat, because I would have called you out if you were. Medical professionals should not be big boned. I'm sorry, not sorry. That's the type of attitude that you can represent all by getting a shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Again, we also have this one. I think this one's great. Talking about Massive Meat Rocket 2020. Oh boy. Listen, we're equal opportunists when it comes to offending people. As of course, this is our latest Donald Trump one. It's the Island Boys. Dawkins there. Why not? Why not? And of course, I like this one the most. No more war. As of course, we have too much war. We have too much conflict. We have too much insanity in this world, and we have to stop. I don't know why we're allowing all this insanity to take part here. If you're looking to meet the opposite spouse, whether you're a woman, again, we got short sleeves, we got women's tank tops, we got V-necks, we got everything on wearechange.shop here. But if you're a dude looking to make lady friends, or if you're a lady looking to start an easy icebreaker for the boys to come up to you, I talk to a lot of women. Women are like, no guys come up to us anymore. Get a t-shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. They're going to read your shirt, and they'll be like, oh, you're single, taken? Are you resisting the SP corporatist banking cabal with memes and thought crimes? Oh yeah, you're a part of my tribe. There's a lot more people out there that are pretty awakened. Let's just say that. Than a lot of other people. As of course, we got this one. Where's the Epstein list? $25. That's it. That's all it is on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Again, get the shirts, lots of different styles, lots of different things. And then by getting it, you not only express yourself, but more importantly, you're able to get these messages out there to the general public in ways that they cannot be censored. Some of the shirts too spicy to show you here. But let's continue on here with this type of escalatory nature of situations unfolding right now in the Middle East. As listen, this is on the heels of just another bombing that just took place in Lebanon. Now, again, he's talking about reaching peace through strength. We're going to be strong here, and we're going to occupy more territories for ourselves. Now, as soon as the Syrian regime fell, Israel went into the Golan Heights region, which was disputed territory between the Syrians and the Israelis. And there was previous kind of clashes and skirmishes that were happening between the Israeli government and the Syrian government. And the Israeli government really didn't want the old government there, so they helped overthrow it. And they did that with Saudi Arabia. They did that with the United States. They were working on it for quite a long time with Barack Obama. Barack Obama kind of kicked off the initiative, but the initiative was ongoing ever since 2001 after the Project for a New American Century, where they tried to re-envision the Middle East in a more kind of Israeli-focused, dominant kind of way. And that's exactly what we're seeing here under the leadership of Donald Trump. That is kind of giving a wink and a nod here to all of the very kind of aggressive retaliatory actions by the Israelis that are now going to be occupying and taking more territory for themselves here. This as Republican Congressman MTG just put forward a provision, an amendment to H.R. 580 that would cut $500 million from Israel's missile defense. As she says, Israel is a nuclearly armed nation. They can defend themselves. They have universal health care and subsidized college. Meanwhile, Americans are $37 trillion in debt. I agree. They have socialism. They have welfare because we're financing their warfare. Listen, the same with Europe, the same with NATO. And this is not just an Israeli issue, okay? This is an issue everywhere. And Donald Trump made this a big issue with Europeans, saying, listen, increase your GDP spending for NATO. You're going to have to do this. A lot of the countries are listening. They're getting the latest, greatest tools, and they're giving it off to Ukraine, and the war machine is just cranking on. But when it comes to Israel, I think the Israeli people, a big portion of them, want Israel to be independent outside of any kind of government. Again, our government can change. Our government will change. If you look at the polling, if you look at the numbers, you specifically see the temperature in the room, specifically around Israel, is rising, and a lot of the younger people no longer have the same kind of fever-pitch support of Israel like the boomers do. The boomers are dying out, and you have new politicians. And, of course, those new politicians are like MTG that are saying, you know what? Listen, we have enough problems at home. Why are we spending so much money? Why are we giving so much money to a foreign country that should be independent on its own and should be able to stand on its own? And that would be, I think, the best thing for everyone here. As now we have the bombing of a Catholic church that the White House has officially responded to. Now, whenever civilian areas are bombed by Putin, Trump makes a big stink about it. Trump's not making a big stink about this, but he did address it through the White House spokesperson that said this.
Caroline, good afternoon, Caroline. In Gaza today, Holy Family Catholic Church was struck by an Israeli shell.
Yes.
3 people were killed, 10 wounded. What is the president's reaction to that church coming under fire?
It was not a positive reaction. He called Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning to address the strikes on that church in Gaza, and I understand the Prime Minister agreed to put out a statement. It was a mistake by the Israelis to hit that Catholic church. That's what the Prime Minister
The statement's like, oh, it's unfortunate. We're also occupying more of Syria now.
relayed to the President, and you should look at the Prime Minister's statement that will be coming out.
Yeah, it was an accident. It was a coinky-dink, as now the Vatican has confirmed. There's some reports of 2 people losing their lives here. Other reports coming in 3. And, of course, this has made a lot of news here, as in response to this, the Pope has now just demanded a ceasefire after the Gaza Catholic Church is hit in what looks like an apparent Israeli strike. The Israeli Defense Force said, quote, the circumstances of the incident are, quote, under review. As the Pope now expressed sadness and called for a ceasefire after Gaza's only Catholic church was hit from the Israeli strike. His Holiness was deeply saddened to learn of the life loss and injury caused by the military action of the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza, and he assures the parish priest's father, Gabriel Romanelli, and the whole parish community of his spiritual closeness. As we saw crazy video footage of this. Again, I don't like showing gory videos, but you saw an injured priest there still praying over people that were injured and hurt here over an absolutely horrible situation. Now, Donald Trump publicly has said, I'm working on a ceasefire. I need a ceasefire. Israelis are not doing a ceasefire. The Pope now saying, I want a ceasefire. The Israelis are not going to listen. There is a deal in the works that would get rid of Hamas that's in play here that would allow an immediate ceasefire. Now, will that happen? Again, we don't know. The Israeli Prime Minister also, the Italian Prime Minister also condemned the attacks and slammed Israel, saying Israel raids on Gaza also hit the church. of the Holy Family. The attacks against the civilian population that Israel has been carrying out for months are unacceptable. No military action can justify such an attitude, Meloni, the prime minister of Italy, said. The Israeli Defense Forces said it was aware of reports regarding damage to the church and that the circumstance of the incident are, quote, under review. The IDF does not target religious institution and takes many precautions to avoid harm to civilians on holy sites. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. It's kind of a mixed bag, especially when you're involved in such a big street by street, block by block war here. And the Israeli military just said it regrets the damage caused to the church and the casualties on the scene here. Now, again, sad, unfortunate incident that has led to more life of, loss of life. As we had some very interesting comments from Congressman Tim Burchett that talked about this particular strike here and talks about how just conveniently all these military actions, all these military strikes keep postponing Benjamin Netanyahu's court proceedings about his alleged corruption that he's involved in. Here's what Tim Burchett had to say here.
Do you think Netanyahu is engaging in these strikes against Syria as a result of the sort of silly trial they're having of him?
It could be a diversion. That's not far from reality, actually, because again, it's tough to during the Second World War, England they kept Winston Churchill in, and then as soon as the war was over, they couldn't kick him out of power soon enough. So I think that history is a good lesson on that.
That did happen. A lot of people don't actually follow that part of Churchillian history, but we're glad you do.
Yeah, and that looks very similar to what's going on right here. Is of course massive amounts of protests before October 7th. How convenient. As right now, there's reports of being under U.S. pressure as Netanyahu came out and said Israel regrets this Gaza church strike, and he's investigating it. Did Donald Trump make him do this? I don't know. But he also did announce, more military occupations. As he announced that no Syrian forces are to head south of Damascus, which is an area that now, quote, must be demilitarized. Who's going to demilitarize it? The Israeli military. That's going to now go in there. That's going to protect the Druze. The Druze are the kind of ethnic Shia minorities there that the Israelis now have an excuse to protect that allows them to, of course, gain more territory in the region, ever so expanding their sphere of influence here. As, of course, Turkey is pissed, as Turkey just went to Israel and said, hey, stop bombing Syria or else. As Turkey made it clear, it's not cool with Israel's bombing campaign in Syria. Turkey intel agencies reportedly delivered the warning straight to the Israeli officials, as Foreign Minister Fidan said that the strikes are stoking instability and that the Syrian new leadership can't fix things without calm in the region. Now, Marco Rubio announced that he's working long nights to calm down the Israel-Syrian tensions. And it looks like the Israelis are just like, yeah, we're just going to do more. We're just going to take up more land. Listen, if I'm the Syrians, and I'm like, okay, we just overthrew the Syrian government. All right. Wait, the Israelis are taking our land. They're taking they're taking the Golan Heights region. That was contested territory. It was supposed to be a buffer zone. They just took it. Now they're going to take more? What's going to be the next steps? Where are they going to be taking more land and attacking more land? As, of course, just a few days ago, specifically July 3rd, so about 15 days ago, the Israeli Air Force carried out strikes on the Lebanese capital of Beirut as they were doing, quote, targeted strikes against what they call Iranian forces in that particular region. And there's a lot of videos showing these strikes, which they call were related to Iran trying to move, allegedly, weapons into that particular set of territory. This as the United States is still planning nuclear talks with Iran, and let's just be honest with ourselves, I don't think those talks are going to get anywhere. I think it's fair to say here that Israel is ever so emboldened Will Bibi ever reach his court proceeding, or will he start creating new wars in order to avoid them? That's a question that I think is on a lot of people's mind here. As of course, the situation in the Middle East is extremely tumultuous, and in my opinion, will become a lot more tumultuous from here. And the more we aid and abet and start to give favorable treatment and all the weapons and all the guns here, we're creating a scenario where truly I think the United States here is the true cause of a lot of this type of instability that we're aiding and abetting and funding with our tax dollars as we are $37 trillion in debt. And other countries, like in Europe or in Israel, get to have all the socialism they want. Free healthcare, free college, yeah. Come on in, guys. Americans are paying for it. This says we don't got any of that. I don't think we should either. I think we should just be able to keep our own money. Okay? Can we stop giving it to the military-industrial complex? Can we stop giving it to foreign countries? If you agree with that, share this video with your friends and family members. Thank you so much for everyone who gets a t-shirt. It really means a lot, especially when I'm able to see it in public. Listen, we sell a lot of shirts. Seeing it in public, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's a great shirt. I'm like, I love it. I love it. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.